good practice again today, and as we finish the week on pace, this is the last really fast practice. Obviously on Saturdays we come in and do it from more of a walkthrough mode. We still do all the mental strains and the mental stresses and that kind of stuff, but finished pretty good this week. 3 good days, and now it's time to go into the rooms right here and finish up in the meeting strong here as we finish up today. One of the things we do today here too is that we do player-only meetings today. And it's important that they see things the right way. They'll bring things to our attention that maybe still need to be cleaned up a little bit. And I think that's very, very good. Learned that from Buddy Ryan a long time ago, and he was doing that. He was already doing that here. We've been doing that here anyway. But I always like the fact that there's players-only meetings so that their voices are heard and everything is being sorted out in their mind. Questions?
Damarious hamstring, anything to be?
Don't think so. Just making sure we're taking care.
It's Corbett. You said it was earlier in the week. You said you didn't know if it could be a season ender. Is
right. No, I don't, and I still don't think that. And although, but we're doing what's right, we think, and just from all the people that have given us advice, we're going to set him down this week.
Who's your backup center? If
one of the things is I tried Bob Wiley the other day, but Mark Hudson's younger, and so I think and used to play the position. So now we'll have Mark, but I'm not going to mention it on how we're doing all that.
That has Damarious, had enough of the game plan install and practice this week?
He practiced, yeah, he practiced, and he's practiced Wednesday, Thursday, today, and we're just going to make sure that we're right, and tomorrow will be good too. Yes.
You were talking about J.J. Watt yesterday, and some of the traits that make him who he is. Do you see some of those traits in Myles?
Yes, and I do, and those are things that will only continue to get better with more and more experience. And I smile when I was talking a little bit yesterday about the anticipatory traits, the instinctive traits. When you're really, really good, no matter what sport you're in, you're not afraid to guess. And the really, really, really good players have a lot more right guesses than they do wrong. And then when you do have a wrong guess, what is your immediate response to counter? And JJ and the real good players that I've had the luxury to learn that from understand that. And it doesn't make any difference if it's baseball, basketball, anything athletic, there is that process that goes on, and he does that very well.
Obviously, you guys have different styles, but do you use Watt as an example when you talk to Myles and say?
I use a lot of different people, and one of the things that has been a mentor to him that you can't have any better example is Bruce Smith. And so there's lots of different things. I've used several different pictures and clips when he first got in of Aaron Donald, and Robert Quinn, right, and Javon Curse. I've had, and it goes on and on. I don't want to leave out names and everything, but there are people that have played at those very extremely fast-paced levels at our league that all those are good examples. And our guys go, now there's nothing secret. They go online and find all the old backup film anymore, and they come in and show things to us. I think that's cool when they show things to me. It shows me how important it is to them. They're doing the research. They're wanting to get better, so it's important.
When you look back to that 2017 draft, you've kind of been vocal and on record about how much you wanted Myles Garrett at number 1 overall in that draft. So, given the fact that, Deshaun was part of that whole thing in the trade, and now you guys have Baker and the way some of the other quarterbacks are working out, if you had to do that all over again, would you do the exact same thing?
Yes. I would. And really like him, and part of the, and I was involved in some of the processes here, in a background role of, they had me evaluate the quarterbacks too, and they had me evaluate a lot of the top players on the other side of the ball. And I think you do good things like that in successful organizations that we've been with before to help here. Not afraid to get other people's opinion, get the opinion of a defensive guy on an offensive guy. We do the same thing. Get the opinion of an offensive guy on a defensive guy. And we have them. You can't burden everybody with too much to look at, but things that you're trying to, find all the different little bitty things before you make the final decision. I think those are important.
Came out of Houston today that I guess you tried to recruit Tyrann Mathieu in free agency. Obviously that didn't happen. He's not here, but just what have you seen from him and what makes him such a good player?
Again, there's a player that I know so much about him because he was being recruited at the same time my other son was being recruited, and they were in LSU camps together, when LSU was recruiting him, and my son too. And he came into a camp down there in LSU, and not anybody knew anything about him. He left the camp as the MVP of the camp with about 120, 160 players at that camp. And everybody started saying, what? He did the same thing when he was in college. And then as he's come on in the league, when playing at Arizona, we were in the same division. So I knew a lot about him, playing twice a year, and watched him grow in the league. Todd Bowles, how Todd Bowles was using him down there at Arizona. There were some similarities on some of the things that we do defensively that he would do here. Instincts, measurables. Measurables are one thing. Maybe all the size, weight, speed things don't tap out to be the highest thing in the world. But he's always played at a very high pace. He's always played at a very productive level. And I think he's doing a really good job down there bringing some spirit to him.
When back to Myles and JJ, it seems like Watt's motor is always crazy high, and that's one of the things people really respect about him.
There was a walk-on too. Right. Offensive lineman. How did that happen?
When you look at Myles, can you coach a guy to play at that level that JJ does, snap in and snap out? And
sure you can, and yeah, you do. You can, and you're striving to do that. And as we have now gotten to a point in time in the season to where I think we can do a better job, on getting him some rest, and that was one of the things back in the early 90s when I was with the Oilers. We were doing some things on how we were arresting our linemen coming in and out, and Jimmy Johnson saw that at the Cowboys and started copying us at the Cowboys doing some of that stuff. And then other people started doing it other places during those times. We had to get through some young learning curves early in the season here with some new people that, weren't in camp, weren't in spring practices, weren't in anything with us. We've got enough time on task, hopefully, we can keep him fresher.
So when you looked at some of those quarterbacks in that class, did you think that Deshaun Watson was going to have the
Really
ability?
liked him a lot, really did. And, and he had all the things, the makings. And, again, when we evaluate, all of us have made mistakes, okay? But when you continue to confirm, that what I said at the time, I thought was pretty favorable about him, then it helps me again when I see similar traits or similar things later on with other people. And that whole class of guys, turned out to be pretty good. Yes, but I thought he did very well. And then I had the opportunity here when he came through here on the interview process to also just do some talking with him, and that doesn't happen a lot of places where you cross over, on a 30-man interviews from an offensive guy going and talking to a defensive guy or a defensive guy going and talking to an offensive guy. I think they do things really good upstairs here, and they were doing that before we got here, before I got here. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask a quick follow-up on that. So the way that it worked out, you guys ended up with Myles and then Baker. So in the end, it looks like you guys kind of
Good,
it was
and it's not anything to do, knocking Deshaun at all. It's how it ended up with him, and people saw how much they wanted him with the interest level down there of what the Texans went about doing it. But pretty good here too, on how it's all shaped out. Whoever could predict the future did a good job.
We see Damarious Randall making plays and intercepting the ball. What's something that isn't maybe so obvious that you really like?
He's a smart player, okay, and he's not somebody that has to be told things over and over and over again, can pick up conceptual things. You don't want robots, and you got to have, again, the conceptual awareness of stuff, and has been in and well coached, in college and well coached at Green Bay. I have a lot of respect for the guys and what he was doing there at Green Bay. There were some similarities before we got here. So got to continue putting his hands on the ball more and doing everything he can to make plays, and that's why we wanted him here.
Did anything about the transition from mostly corner, playing corner?
He played safety in college.
Right, I know.
So, and then I like the fact that he was playing another position from the safety position, that he showed the skill set to do more than just safety. A lot of times, as a DB, maybe safety is the last stop for a DB. And then again, there are some corners that can't play, and I say this with a smile on my face, but it's true. Are you tough enough to play nickel? Because you're getting in there with all the, the beat-ups. And then can a corner be tough enough, again, maybe later in his career, to play a safety? Now you're in the box. Can you do that? So that position flexibility helps.
Houston's ranked 4th in the league rushing the football with Miller and Blue. What makes them so good offensively on the ground?
I think their ability to stick to the play called. I think their ability to do a good job on body. I think their blocking and the technique that they're going about and running the stretch play that they do with a few other gap schemes that they do. But then I think the vision of the backs have been very good. And those are things, again, on the really good ones, you can't coach. And you can say, okay, we're going to have a one cut here, we're going to have a one cut here. Where are you cutting to? Do you have the vision once you make the cut? Now there may be another cut, or there may be a press. But they've done a very good job with that concept, and it's working out for them.
The overall numbers for your run defense aren't great. Where do you think it is right now?
Number of plays we've played. And again, one of the things now that we've started, I take a smile on my face, is that when you're behind, you're going to play more runs. You play 4 overtime games, you're going to play more runs. You're going to have more shots at doing that. But the yards per play, that is not at the level of places where we've been. We've got to do a good job with that. And this is a big part of this game, and when we've made that the priority, our guys have responded well. But we have to play strong and dominant in the run game. We have to do that, because we don't want to give them the alternative, of being able to not have to do some things that maybe we can affect the pocket.
If you talk about guys who've stolen stuff, if you start bringing up Curly Lambeau stole stuff you did, we're going to ask for your birth certificate.
I know. I'm sorry, and I'm hoping that my genetics are blessed, that I look younger than I feel. And I say that all the time, but I still get the calls from the parents at home that think I'm still a teenager and not doing things the right way in their mind. So, but there are some people back in those days, the tradition of the game. I do take a great respect for all the people that have done it way before. I will tell you this too: if you guys need any pictures sometime of Dorsey playing, I've got some creative pictures, some pictures that he can't run away from. Okay, I have those, so just let me know anytime you need them. Okay, and make sure he hears this, okay, because I know he's a little bit nervous about some of the pictures I have.
Where do you put Paul Brown?
Pardon me?
Where's Paul Brown?
I think it's unbelievable on the things that he was so far ahead in not only from the football acumen, the football scheme things, but the business. His big picture of where this NFL could go and how he went about running the business back when maybe looked upon one of the first ones to have that type of a very stoic behavior on how he managed and mentored people that way. Okay, I love reading the things about him and all of them.